All right, we're back with some more fun stuff. Armchair Engineer 85. So here is the bottom end to the 800 Etec R. As far as I can see, like you can definitely see the rod bearings. I checked both. There's no up and down play, for movement or play on both of them, and it's got the right amount of side to side. And I checked it with a feeler gauge, and it falls within spec. But this thing has about 13 to 13,500 kilometers on it. And doing my, even without doing research, common sense says that at the minimum, you should probably have a look at this, like tear down the bottom end. It's not something I really want to do. Like I would love to not do it and, get away with it. Obviously, it would speed this up, this engine assembly and the whole project quite a bit. But the thing is, it is July right now, and I've got a lot more time. I got a lot of time to do this, and I'm going to be diligent at it, and I'm going to do a little bit at a time. And I want to do this right, because the last thing I want to do is stick this engine in, and in the back of my mind being going, oh boy, I sure hope the bottom end. I just redid the top end and everything, and I balanced the injectors and got them professionally cleaned. But then you're thinking in your mind, boy, I hope the bottom end, I hope I was right and I hope it holds together. I don't want to do that. So I'm willing to take the time and tear this apart. And if it turns out everything's all right, that's great. I'll just reseal it and call it a life lesson. But the last engine I did was the 600 SDI engine. And I got to exactly this point right here, and the bottom end, I checked it out and I flushed it out with diesel. I knew which side was the side that originally blown, and it held together. I put about 2,000 kilometers on it and haven't had an issue on that rebuild. But I will admit, I was always in the back of my mind thinking, I really hope something doesn't go wrong. Maybe I should have tore it down. Maybe I should have done this. So learning from that lesson, I'm going to do probably maybe what I should have done with the 600 SDI. As I mentioned before, I put about 2,000 kilometers on that, and I haven't had an issue. And that engine had 10,000 on it, kilometers. And the 600 SDI, it had a better reputation than the 800 E-Tech, and definitely the 800 P-Tech. So anyways, here's what I'm going to do. Before, like I said, to do anything, I want to degrease this, and I'm going to spend some time degreasing the heck out of this engine, just to make it easier to deal with. And obviously I want to keep as much dirt as I can out of the inside here, although I'm going to clean the cases as well. So I'm going to get to work on that. Nothing fancy. I've got my typical purple bottle of degreaser, and I'm just going to go to town. Okay, so here's where I'm at right now. I really did take a big dent out of the grease. Yeah, about an hour and a half of scrubbing. I removed the starter and the starter bracket. They bolt right here, just because there was a bunch of grease stuck in behind there, and even though I tried to super saturate it, I had to do it, and I have to do it anyways, because as you can see here, that's the one bolt and that's the other bolt where it bolts. But then you got to split the cases, so you got to remove it anyways. The water pump housing, you're fine, you're cool with that. And then I cleaned up the surface here for the head. What I used was, here's a good little tip here. You can use these plastic razors. I think you get them in like hardware stores like Home Depot, like in the paint section. And these are really good. They're soft, like it's plastic. Obviously this is aluminum, so you don't want to be too harsh on it. But there was a couple spots that were a little tough. So I did in fact have to break out the razor. Now this you want to definitely be careful with, because this being aluminum, it's very soft, and you could easily take a gouge out of this, and then now you're compromising your gasket seal when you go to put your heads on. So you want to use a very shallow angle, and I mean very shallow. And there's still a couple little spots here, yeah, like this little piece here I couldn't get off regardless. So I'm going to do a little bit of research tonight, and I'm going to see like if it'd be suggested by engine builders or some skidoo forums or guys that really know, like if you could use very lightly like a 3000 grit sandpaper, like a wet sand, and just go over the surface like this. But I'm probably not going to worry about that until till after I split the cases. I'm gonna go ahead right now and I'm gonna go and take this flywheel cover off, and there'll be more grease here because this is where the magneto is. But I just wanted to show you guys where I'm at right now. And then going forward with this, after I get everything disassembled and inspected, I'm going to clean it with diesel fluid, or diesel fuel, excuse me. I did that with my last engine here. You can see like a lot of grime and stuff in there, the cases, and diesel fuel is a great cleaner, like a really great cleaner. If you get like a tank of it and you use it as like a dip tank, and you just maybe use a brush or just let it soak, it'll do a really good job. And the thing about diesel fuel is it's almost got like a lubricant in it. It's like some people say, like not a grease, I don't know how to explain it, but it does do a little bit of a job at lubricating, so that's not a bad thing. Anyways, we're gonna do that, get it all cleaned up, inspected and everything like that, and then we're gonna move forward. So let's take this apart. So we got the flywheel off here. It's 4 Torx head fasteners, not a big deal to get off. And then what we have here, I'll just show you guys as I lose these. But you've got this cup here, and this cup connects here, and this is what basically, when you pull the ripcord, this is what pulls, it's like your starter cup, and this is what catches your crankshaft and cranks it over. So we're going to remove that. It's 313 millimeter fasteners. So I've got my impact here, and I'm just going to zip these off. So we got our stator nut. It's next. Now that we've got that flywheel cup off, I've got 1 3/16 inches on there, and I got my Milwaukee mid torque. This thing will be on there fairly tight, so I'm going to zip it off. Okay, sorry guys if it seems like I'm flying through this. I'm just flying through the parts there. I'm not really showing, there was four screws holding the pull cord assembly on. I didn't show myself taking it off, and I just, flew through that quick. And same with the cup, 3 bolts, boom. I think I said a 13 millimeter, not a big deal. This one right here, I showed you guys, you take your nut off here. This is your main nut that holds your your stator on, your stator and magnet. This little thing can be a bit of an annoyance, but once you get it off. So now we're getting into the technical side, so this is where I'm going to start to show you. To get this off, you need a puller. I've seen guys use a harmonic balancer puller where it's got 3 rods that screw in here, here, and here, and you can pull it off. But what I have is a different style of puller. I can't recall what they call this style here, but I'm going to use it because all around the magnet here, there's a bunch of slots. Now, when I first I borrowed this off a friend, I went, oh shoot, these right here are too big to fit in here, and I was kind of annoyed. And then all of a sudden I looked, oh wait a second, you look here, and these flip around 180, and you got smaller little claws, and guess what? Those fit in there. Perfect. So all you got to do is unbolt. You got 3. You unbolt all 3 and turn them around, which is what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to install the puller, and we're going to pull this off. All right, so we got our puller all set up. I'll show you guys, give you a little up close and personal. It can be a little difficult getting it on, getting all 3 of these hooks in, and then trying to line this up at the same time, but I can guarantee you, if you swear enough times, it will eventually come, and that is the key. You just keep cussing till it comes. So I'm going to start off with this, and I'm going to go till, hopefully, I would like to pop it off with a ratchet, and that's a 5/8. If I can't, I got this big daddy right here. This is the Milwaukee mid torque, and if I got to, I'm going to send it with this, but send it very slow. So let's check it out. All right, so that style of puller really wasn't working well. It kept slipping off. It did a slight little nick. The claws, I did my best to make sure that they were engaged. That's what a normal one looks like, but they kept slipping off, and they just kept taking a tiny little bit of metal with them. So
I abandoned it and I went out and I purchased the right puller for this. It's not so much that this was the wrong puller, it's just it doesn't work as well in this application here. Even I think just the smaller, if I got a smaller puller, like with the smaller claws, I think I would still be having trouble with it, because I just think that this metal here, it's not strong enough to take that type of pulling, and that's why you have these threaded holes here. So anyways, the right tool for the right job. I went out and I purchased a harmonic balancer puller, and we're gonna get it on here and do it right. So here's the harmonic balancer puller setup. These flywheels can be extremely hard to get off, especially with this style of puller, and these bolts they don't look the strongest. So what I'm going to do is I got my propylene here. I'm gonna heat up the center part here. I'll probably do that just off camera. And then I've got this cap here, right like that, and that's gonna go right like this. And this will push on the crankshaft, and we're just going to take our time with this, and we're going to add heat as we need it. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're just coming off the centering point of the crankshaft, so I'm just going to readjust it so I don't break this tool. Course, I got it off camera, but I wanted to take enough clips to show you guys what you have to do. It requires a lot of heat. This magnet and stator, yeah, this style here I don't like, and I don't like using this type of puller, but this is well, you can try the other one, which I did, and it didn't really work well. This one worked the best, but it's still not ideal, and you have to use heat. If you're not using heat, you're gonna break one of these bolts. Ask me how I know. Anyways, that's awesome. All's well that ends well. That is a true statement in life. So, and I use MAP gas, by the way, which obviously burns a lot hotter than propane. So, I mean, if all I had was propane, guess what? I'd be using propane. But like, yeah, see this puller here, and I tried to do the best I could by having the bolts even so that I didn't have one bolt going out longer than the other. It's not easy, to be honest with you. I can't even touch these. Everything's so hot right now because that's the amount of heat that you need to get this off. But I mean, that's just what you got to do. I prefer, like on my Yamaha Banshee, it's got a dirt bikes and ATVs. They've got like they have like internal threads on the inside, and they use a different style of puller so that it actually threads into the center of the magnet, and then you can. It's got a center push pin. And that style to me is way better. But of course, leave it to Rotax, leave it to BRP to do this style. So anyways, let's get this off here. All right, so that's what we're looking at. This magnet here is very powerful. It's still way too hot to touch. If I tried to grab that and hold on to it for a while, that would be very hot. But that's how much heat you need, and that's how effective the heat is. So here's the 3 bolts I used, and you can see where the brass has been worn away here, that I did my best to try and keep them equal so that you weren't getting any twisting. And I mean, this bolt here is basically done. It's warped. Anyways, like I said, I don't really like this style of stator. The style I like, it has internal threads right there. Like on my Banshee or a dirt bike, you screw the tool in. It's a 2-part tool, and then the inside has a push pin, and it would push on the crankshaft and it pulls it out, and then there's no threat of damaging your stator or anything like that. I got a little bit into the stator here. I was trying not to get the bolts too deep. Yeah, just a slight little nudge there and a slight little nudge there. So I'm gonna test this out and make sure that it's okay, but that's another factor of why these aren't the greatest. Anyways, we're gonna call this part 1 because I'm kind of running in a room on my phone, and this will be part 1 of the bottom end tear down of the 800 Etec. All right, guys, if you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.